after weeks of seeing the company crack down, reports of workers' rights violations, and the firing of those bringing up legitimate concerns, the vice president of Amazon has publicly quit, which is really nice. Now, this is after more than 5 years as vice president of the company. Tim Bray wrote a scathing op-ed saying that he was quitting in dismay at Amazon firing whistleblowers who were making noise about warehouse employees frightened of COVID-19. In this letter, Bray defended Amazon workers, including Staten Island warehouse worker Chris Smalls, who was unjustly fired, and Amazon employees for climate justice organizers Emily Cunningham and Aaron Costa, all of whom were fired after leading petitions and protests over unsafe working conditions inside of the warehouses. Firing whistleblowers, he writes, is just a side effect of macroeconomic forces, considering, of course, how Amazon is actually increasing business due to people staying in their homes. But he adds, nor is it intrinsic to the function of free markets. It is evidence of a vein of toxicity running through the company culture. I choose neither to serve nor drink that potion. Poison. That's what it is. Poison. Very strong statement, of course, from an engineer. He was the highest ranking Amazon employee and a distinguished engineer at the company. So to have someone like him publicly quit and speak out is really important. Now, Amazon, of course, has had a lot of issues. We've talked about those in the show before. Workplace safety, employee deaths, injuries, harsh working conditions in their many fulfillment centers, right? And I've talked about those issues before at quite a bit of length. But now you have them firing people for simply raising awareness about unsafe working conditions in a pandemic. Pretty vile, I should say. Many on social media, of course, have been quick to laud Bray for taking this action. Naomi Klein wrote, "This is a very big deal. This kind of courage is what we need right now in every workplace and every walk of life." Another person, social media, said Amazon is basically firing any worker who complains about exposure to COVID-19 or poor conditions. No unions, no free speech, and punishment for whistleblowers. Kudos to Tim Bray, one of Amazon's leading engineers, for resigning in protest. Martin Fowler says, "I admire the action of Tim Bray, resigning from Amazon to support COVID whistleblowers." Bray said he had brought his concerns, of course, to company executives in April, after Cunningham and Costa were fired after starting a position on behalf of the warehouse workers. Amazon's actions in recent weeks, according to an article by Common Dreams, included its attempted smear campaign against Smalls, who organized a walkout over lack of social distancing protocols and transparency at the Staten Island facility. "Were designed to create a climate of fear," wrote Bray, who also went after his employer as a chicken shit, which I enjoy. Bray acknowledged in his post that Amazon says it's taking precautions to protect workers, but wrote this: "The big problem isn't the specifics of COVID-19 response. It's that Amazon treats the humans in its warehouse as fungible units of pick and pack potential. Only that it's not just Amazon. It's how 21st century capitalism is done." The former company executive also pointed out that the giant, while formidable power in the U.S., has been reined in elsewhere in other countries. For example, France, where Amazon workers are represented by unions. The court last month ruled the company must only complete deliveries of essential products while its warehouse's safety measures are being investigated. France is able to do that because France riots basically any time that there's anything that's against the workers. I'm not saying that as a pejorative. I'm saying that why can't we be more like France? France actually cares about workers' rights. We here in America do not. We seem to care more about corporate rights, or at least our government does. Now, here's what Bray had written about that. "If we don't like certain things Amazon is doing, we need to put legal guardrails in to stop those things. We don't need to invent anything new. A combination of antitrust and living wage and worker empowerment legislation, rigorously enforced, offers a clear path forward. Don't say it can't be done because France is doing it." Brings up a great point. France does things better than America, and so does basically every modern country. Why don't we do that here in America? There's no political will because corporations, of course, bought off our politicians and they make laws that help those corporations. Of course, it is a corruption. It's all about corruption. So how could this be done? Well, Bray has an idea. At the end of the day, it's all about power balances, he wrote. The warehouse workers are weak and getting weaker. What with mass unemployment in the US, job-linked health insurance. So they're going to get treated like crap because capitalism. Any plausible solution has to start with increasing their collective strength. For me, that means mass walkouts. For me, that means a general strike. Those two words, general strike, happen to strike fear in the hearts of every capitalist because it means that workers are using the only leverage that they truly have, their labor. Without their labor, the company cannot make the very things it sells. Without the labor, the company cannot function, just like it cannot survive without consumers of their product, the very same people, of course, that make up their labor force. A general strike denies the company both things. If you're not working, you're not consuming. If you're not consuming, they get no profit. There's no point of work. Those are the actions that can bring Amazon and any company, any government, any society to its knees. And when you have them there, that's the time to extract concessions. The only question is, are Americans ready to take that action, to do a general strike? I believe the time is ripe. It is the perfect time to do such actions because right now, as the economy is stalled out for the most part, except for essential services like gas station attendants, truck drivers, delivery drivers, people in warehouses, as well as people in food service, grocery store workers, they are essential to the economy. And it turns out they've always been essential to this economy and essential for the functioning of an entire country. If they shut down, that's it. Those are the people who have the most power that are powerless in order to change their lot in life, their pay. They often get paid the lowest. They often get treated the worst because they're quote unquote easily replaceable. Turns out during a pandemic, not so much. No. General strike. Show them their actual power of labor and get concessions. It is the only way we can fix what's wrong with capitalism. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.